Lesson 51, Graphs of Linear Equations, Graphs of Vertical and Horizontal Lines. Now, before we start this lesson, you have to remember that the equation of a line is given by y equals mx plus b. Now, remember that the m is the slope and the b is the intersection with the y-axis. So from now on, you have to be able to identify when you're working with a line. So let's review how we graph these lines. So the first thing we're going to do is make a table for x and y. We choose three values that are convenient. In this case, since we don't have a denominator, the denominator is 1, we can just choose -1, 0, and 1. Those will be our values. Now we're going to find the value of y by substituting. So we get 2 times -1, -2, -1, -3. And I write my answer in the table. I do the same for 0. 2 times 0, 0 minus 1 is -1. And then I do the same for 1. 2 times 1 is 2, minus 1 is 1. After that, we are ready to graph those points. Notice that we have an x coordinate and a y coordinate, so we can graph each one of these points that we found here. So -1, -3 is 1 to the left and 3 down. So that's -1, -3. Then 0, -1 is here, just going down 1. And 1, 1 is here. 1, 1. And notice that we have our line, and that's it. That is the graph of that equation. Notice that we use 3 points because any 2 points make a line. So we need 3 points to make sure that we are doing it correctly, because if one of the points is in another side, we're going to create a triangle and not a line. So make sure that you use 3 points to make sure that your line is correct. In this next example, we're going to do the same. We're going to start with our table. And in this case, since we have a denominator 2, we're going to use -2, 0, and 2. In that way, when I substitute, I'm going to get rid of that denominator. So let's do it. Y equals -1/2 times -2 plus 2. Negative times negative is positive, and 2 times 1/2 is 2/2, which is 1, and 1 plus 2 is 3. Then we're going to do the same with 0. It's -1/2 times 0 plus 2 is 2. And then -1/2 times 2 is -1 plus 2 is 1. So our answer here is 1. And now we're ready to graph. The first point is -2, so 2 to the left and 3 up. Then 0, 2 is only going up 2. And 2, 1 is 2 to the right and 1 up. Again, those 3 points are in a line, so we did it correctly, and we just use a ruler or something to draw our line. Now notice that I put arrows because the lines are infinite, so we need to make sure that we show that they keep going in the same direction. For this exercise, we will do the same. So we'll start with our table. And again, what I'm going to do is choose any number. So I can choose -2, 0, 1, and 3. I'm choosing one more, it doesn't really matter. And then when I substitute, notice that what it's saying is that we're going to change the sign of the number. So it's the opposite of whatever number we chose. So the opposite of -2 is 2. The opposite of 0 is 0. The opposite of 1 is -1. And the opposite of 3 is -3. So I'm going to put -2 and 2 up here. 0, 0 here. 1, -1 here. And 3, -3 down here. Again, those are all in one line, so we did it right. We're going to learn how to graph vertical and horizontal lines. So for these, you have to memorize these. So if you see an x equal to a number, then you have to remember that that is a vertical line. And if you see a y equals a number, notice that there's not an extra x, it's just y and a number that is horizontal. So let's look at the first example. It says x equals -2. That's it. So what we have to do is look for x -2. X -2 is right here. And then pass a vertical line on it. And that is our answer. Notice how I use different colors and also how I mark my -2 and I put arrows for my answer. In the next one, it says y equals 3. So I have to remember that that is a horizontal line. So I look for 1, 2, 3. That is my 3 in y. Notice how I was saying it's touching y in 3. So I need to touch y in 3. And that's it. That is our answer. I cannot just do a point because this is not a point. That is a line. Remember, a point has 2 coordinates. Y equals 3 is a horizontal line. So now just to compare, we're going to graph in one coordinate plane both y equals 2x and y equals 2. So we're going to do the same process that we did before. We're going to do our table for y equals 2x. So let's work with -1, 0, and 1. So if we substitute, it's going to be 2 times -1, which is -2. Then for 0 is going to be 2 times 0, which is 0. And 2 times 1, which is 2. So we're going to graph that one with this purple. So we have -1, -2 here, 0, 0 here on the center and the origin, and 1, 2 here. That's our first line. Now for y equals 2, I have to realize that that one is horizontal. So I only have to look for the 2 on y and then pass a line on top of it. Notice that I don't have to write a table for this one because I do it by memory. I identify that it's horizontal and then I graph it. Notice the difference between y equals 2x and y equals 2. And that's it. That is the lesson. Make sure you review these, do some practice, and I'll see you in the next video.